Hello students, you're welcome once again. Today we'll be talking about yet another segment of the tourism industry, which is accommodation. You'll recall last week that we discussed about transportation. So here today we'll be talking about accommodation and how it impacts the tourism industry. For the learning objectives, at the end of this discussion, you should be able to explain the importance of accommodation to the tourism industry, then identify and describe major classifications of accommodations, and be able to identify and describe the primary ownership patterns of lodging properties, and as well describe the basic organizational structures in lodging properties. So also at the end of the class, you should have been able to describe the differences between front of the desk and back of the desk house operations, and as well identify and describe the key marketing management and financial considerations in lodging operations. And lastly, you should also be able to demonstrate the knowledge of basic accommodation terminology. So these are all the things that we'll be covering today in this under this topic. So moving ahead, we want to start with a brief history of accommodations. We will all know what accommodation is. So it relates to lodging, basically. So initially, most accommodation started, or the business of accommodation started as temporary stations on the way for travelers needing safe shelter for the night. Usually when people travel, when they embark upon journey, it's likely that they may need somewhere to rest their head or to relax, maybe to pass the night, you understand, to sleep, a safe shelter for them to just put up till the following morning when they continue the journey. So that is basically how the business of accommodation actually started. And this now later evolved into local gathering places for meetings and entertainment. Apart from the fact that this accommodation or lodging lodging facilities were used as shelter, they were later, advanced to become places for gatherings and meetings and for entertainment. So this is another evolvement, all right? It's another development in the accommodation industry. So, or in the accommodation part of the tourism industry. So inns actually expanded in size and they became hotels, all right? So they actually transformed into hotels. They used to be basically shelters. They used to be basically shelters that are provided for travelers. So they're just like normal houses, but then they will have maybe signage or something to signal that they are meant for lodging, perhaps on the door and things like that. So before they now develop and transform into the different types of accommodation that we'll soon be talking about. Development of lodging facilities closely followed improvements in transportation as transportation also developed, as the transportation sector also developed. There was also development in the accommodation part of the tourism industry, aspect of the tourism industry. In fact, there are some accommodation facilities that also have shelter, talking about this some of these luxurious buses that we discussed last week. Okay, so there are so many choices as depicted here. Also many choices. There are so many choices when it comes to accommodation or lodging generally. Accommodations group under the umbrella term lodging because there are different types of accommodation. So the general term is, or the common thing among them is lodging. So you're lodging, okay, you're trying to place or put your head somewhere overnight or whatever during the day. So many forms of transportation include accommodation as part of their service nowadays, all right? Many are times that the transportation companies will also engage or will also provide accommodation services to their customers, especially when the journey the journey will take maybe days or nights before they arrive at their destination. So most of these transportation companies also provide accommodation services, all right? There are also attracting and retaining guests approaches which require the attention of these service providers, those that are providing accommodation services. So they need to attract, the fact that they need to attract more customers and the fact that they need to retain their existing customers also requires that they also pay attention to the need of their customers. Excuse me. It's also important to mention that there are different brands within the hotel chains. There are different types of accommodation, or there are different brands within the hotel chains. This will still be discussing further subsequently. So here are strategies for developing loyal guests. Don't forget that I mentioned earlier that there is need, or it's very, very important for hotels or accommodation providers to retain their existing customers and as well attract new ones. So forms of existing customers, retaining them requires gaining their loyalty. And how do accommodation providers gain their loyalty? All right, what are the strategies they use to develop their loyalty? There are different strategies as seen or shown on the slide. You can see the social, emotional, experimental, functional, temporal, as well as financial. In terms of social, it could be in form of maybe frequent communication with the former hotel guests. All right, once you lodge and they have your data, maybe your name, your phone number, and so on. So they might call to check on you, to ask, okay, when next are you visiting our hotel? Things like that, or when next will you need our service? All those stuff. So on the emotional strategy aspect, they also use guest name to provide sense of recognition. They may use the guest name to perhaps name some halls, some meeting centers, or conference centers, and so on. So using the experimental strategy, they may provide special touch extra services. For example, maybe birthday cakes for their clients on those particular dates. All right. The functional strategy involves or include the use of amenities. All right. So, for example, Wi-Fi. They give free Wi-Fi access once you lodge. Okay, many hotels do that. So they give free Wi-Fi access just to gain customers and loyalty, so that when next customers are around those area or those places, they will be sure to lodge at that accommodation facility. For the temporal strategy, they may offer guest time savings via quick check-in or check-out. All right. And lastly, we have the financial strategy type, which offers guest discount or free services. So these are the major strategies that are used by accommodation providers or top providers to get or develop loyal guests. Here are hotel companies' global reach. We have hotels that have branches, okay, so to say globally, almost globally, because they have in almost every region of the globe. All right, or maybe worldwide. They have international they have branches internationally. So we have the Intercontinental Hotel groups, we have the Accor, we have the Starwood Hotel, we have the Best Western, we have the Hilton Hotels, we have the Marriott, and we have the Choice Hotel International. You may also want to research to find out more hotels that have global reach, that have branches internationally, all right, maybe across the region or across the geopolitical, perhaps worldwide, all right. So still part of the so many choices, like I mentioned earlier, that there are different types of accommodation facilities or lodging facilities. Okay, so they are identified maybe by different characteristics, or the kind of service they provide, or the facilities that they provide. So we have the B&B, that's the bed and breakfast. Okay, so they are usually small kind of lodging facilities. All right, the concept actually began in the maybe the rural areas of the towns of Europe, right? So here family members will just open their home to travelers for them to maybe to stay. So the concept was just just spread worldwide thereafter. It actually emanated from Europe, and the basic essence was just that for family to welcome travelers or visitors in their apartments, so to say. They provide bed just to pass the night, and then breakfast is also provided. Apart from that, we also have private accommodations where it's almost similar to bed and breakfast, but for private accommodations, the visitors or the guests or the customers will stay, in apartments where they are being offered by the owners. Okay, they will be offered a place to stay in the home, whether whether they have other, at times they may have other facilities apart from the bedding. All right, it may have its own living room. For the bed and breakfast, it's just the bed and maybe, let's say, a room with a bed, and perhaps the breakfast will be provided. All right, so for private accommodation, it will have maybe sitting room or living room or spare bedroom and so on and so forth. So they are just almost similar, but then the visitors stay in the owner's home. The visitors have like a stay-in home, like they have, as if they are in their own houses. So why would travelers want to stay in someone else's house in the first instance? This is just, according to research, they found out that it's just to have a feeling of being a local. All right, so when travelers get to some places, they want to live the style, they want to live the lifestyle as if they are also local. They want to live the kind of lifestyle that the local or the citizens they also live. So that is why they prefer to stay within them, and they want to have a taste of the community life during their stay in this particular places. We also have timeshare condominiums. All right, timeshare condominiums are condominiums of properties that are, they usually have the same amenities. All right, they usually have the same amenities. They are formed in a kind of luxury and luxury apartment settings, and they usually have specific places. At times they are close to maybe resort or activity areas, maybe conference centers, and so on and so forth. So they are usually condominiums, and they have the same amenities across. Okay, they are luxurious apartments having the same amenities. Then we have conference centers. These are usually characterized by different things. All right, different maybe services, so to say, like living. You live in there, living like you're leaving the place, and then you also have the leisure. Everything is everything is provided for in the conference centers, apart from the lodging. So whatever you want to do, maybe people visit for conference or for other meetings, so they have all facilities available to them, maybe recreational, maybe physical exercises or something like that. They have the spa, they have everything just situated at the same place. Then we also have the campgrounds in recreational vehicles. All right, recreational vehicles, RV parks. Okay, these are just outdoor facilities that are provided. All right, they are outdoor facilities that are provided for travelers. These are excerpts from profile of timeshare owners, so you may just read through or refer to your ebook. Next, we want to talk about the rooms. All right, we've been talking about lodging, talking about accommodation, and so on. So what about accommodation? What about lodging? It's just about room, right? Having a room or more to yourself or for your personal use. So we want to talk about a brief history of hotel development. How did hotel come about? How did the word accommodation or hotel come about? The history of hotel development centers, it started actually in the US. It started largely in the US, and as this is where the terminology, the term hotel actually emanated. That was where it originated. So we can say the Boston and Tremont House, which was started in 1829, was the first hotel right in the US. We also have the Brown Palace in Denver in 1892, which was established in 1892. And this is the first atrium, followed by the Statler Hotel in 1908. And this hotel actually started having or added many other services and amenities to the lodging. So apart from the rooms, there were also other services and amenities. So the development of the hotel continued from then until around 1929, from 1829, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I mentioned earlier, until 1929, when we had the Great Depression. All right, and this resulted in about 85% of hotels going bankrupt. It's just like few years back, where we had the outbreak of COVID. That was in 2019. All right, and it's later generated into a pandemic. We all know what happened. Most countries closed their borders, and there was no maybe inward or outward movement. All right, there was no entry or exit from countries. So this greatly affected the accommodation or the hotel industry as well, because there will be no people to lodge when there are no visitors or travelers or tourists, whatever you want to categorize them. Then it's going to really affect the hotel industry. So the Great Depression also affected the hotels in around 1929, so much so that 85% of them went bankrupt. All right. The end of the World War II gave rise to the new developments, mainly in the form of motels. So all these are terminologies that are related to accommodation. Recent decades, a period of growth and high profits. After this, the end of the World War, right, there was development, gradual development, and this also stayed until recently, where we have so much development in the hotel as a result of transformation in the IT development of the information technology and so on. So companies continue to add new brands of properties to better target specific segments, such as extended stay travelers. So all these are the developments in the hotel industry. So here is a profile of extended stay guests. They stay for 5 or more consecutive nights. They bring personal items, set up workstations for the room within the room. They see kitchen as an important room amenity. They work in their room, so place extra importance on the space. They place special importance on space, lighting, comfortable chair, and the telephone. They take baths to relax, in addition to regular showers. So these are This is a profile of extended stay guest, a typical extended stay guest. Making sense of classification and rating system, like I mentioned earlier, that there are different types of lodging or accommodation providers. We categorize all of them under accommodation, but then there are different types that we'll still be talking about. All right, so organizations and governments have developed standard classifications and reporting systems to clarify amenities and services at different types of lodging properties. There are different types of lodging properties. I've mentioned hotel, I've mentioned the B&B, mentioned motel, and so on. So there are different categories depending on the service and the facilities they have and the kind of services that they render. Both consumers and hotel companies benefit from standardized classifications through clearly communicated expectations and brand positioning. This is very, very important, because once they are classified, and customers also know what to expect, once you know that, okay, this is maybe a hotel or a motel or just an ordinary inn or a B&B, for example, your expectation should be limited or would be limited to the B&B. You don't want to get a B&B accommodation and you expect to get maybe the facilities that are available in a condominium or luxury apartment. So this is why classification is very, very important to both the service provider and the hotel company or the service provider, as well as the consumer. So it's just not to overhype the expectation on both parties' side, and then they also have clear communications. They have clear communications about what to expect, as well as the brand positioning. There are typical classifications. As we can see, we have about 8 of them here on the slide. We have the limited service budget motels. We have the limited service economy motels. We have the full service mid-price hotels and motels. For those of us that regular travelers, we should be, familiar. We should be quite familiar with some of these classifications. All right. So we have the full service of upscale hotels. Motels are different from hotels, and when you talk about hotels also, we know that we have maybe those that have maybe 5-star rates, 5-star hotel, 4-star, 3-star, and so on. So even when you want to lodge, perhaps at times you want to, okay, like I want a 3-star, I don't have much cash on me, or I don't have I'm not that boxed up, so I think I better go for a 3-star hotel rather than a 4 or 5-star hotel. So this is just to give you a clearer picture, because you know the category, you know the class that you belong by, lodging in that kind of hotel. You may not even be a permanent, permanently under that class, but for that particular period or at that particular time, that is what you think you need or is best for you. So we have luxury hotels. If you have, of course, if the money is available, you have the wherewithal to get them, then you just lodge in luxury hotel. Apart from that, we have all suites as well. We have extended stay hotels, and we have the boutique and the lifestyle hotels. So all these are the classifications, and there are times that they even have rating. There are rating system for all this kind of accommodation in terms of maybe hotels, motels, inns, and so on. Now we are moving on to lodging lexicon. Like any other phenomenon, lodging also has its own set of terms. There are some terms that are particular or that are, attributed to lodging or the lodging service provider. So some terms are industry-wide; they are used across the industry, while others may be unique to certain companies. There are some terminologies that are unique to certain companies. Some are industry-wise. So here are some hotel terminology, industry-wide, Here are hotel terminologies. Single, this means a room with one twin bed. Twin, this is a room with 2 twin beds, all right? For some of us that regular lodgers will relate or will be able to relate with what we are discussing here. For double, this is a room with double bed, all right? With just one double bed. For double, then it's a room with 2 double beds. So we'll see that, we'll realize that for these categories, they are being described with the kind of bed and the number or the quantity of beds that are in the room. All right. For single, it's just a single room with twin bed. Right. We have the twin bed, the twin size bed, and for the twin, that means there are 2 twin beds. For the double, there are 2 double beds. All right. Now, further, we have the Murphy, which is a room with a Murphy bed. That's a bed that folds out of wall or closet. We also have the suite, right, which is a room with 1 or more bedroom and a living area, right? Just like it has the room. It could be a room or more rooms, maybe there are 2 or so, and then it will have a living area as well as a room or more. Then we have the connecting. These are rooms that are side by side, and they have a door connecting the 2 rooms. So that's connecting. So all these are terminologies or lexicon that are related to the hotel. Some at times they are industry wide, right? Like they are used across the industry. Some are particular to the company itself. They are particular to the certain companies. So moving ahead, we also have the European plan, that's the EP. These are rooms only without meal. So when you hear about an EP, you should know that there will be no meal. The meal is not included in the lodging charges. So if you need meal, then you have to pay extra, or you go and get your own meal elsewhere. So we also have the continental plan, where they offer continental breakfast such as juice, coffee, roll, pastry, all these, and they are already included in the room price. We have the modified American plan. which are continental or full breakfast and dinner included in the room price. So the continental or full breakfast are already included in the price of the room. And lastly, we have the American plan, which is the continental or full breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Comprising or included in the room price. So once you are lodging and you already, you book for the American plan, that's the AP. So it means, what it means is that your room price already includes the breakfast, either the continental or the full breakfast, the lunch, as well as the dinner. So all these have to do with, or these are some of the lexicons or terminology that are used in the hotel. So here is a figure showing the room layout, demonstrating the lodging terminology that we've previously discussed: single, double, and so on. All right. Operating structures. There are 5 types of ownership or management, all right, that are typical to the hotels, all right, or lodging accommodations. There are type major ones here in terms of the structure, how the hotels operate. We're talking about their operating structures. The first one is the do-it-alone, which are small independent properties. They are managed by their owners, just like one-man business. Okay, it's just only a single person that owns the property, and it is independent, and the same person is the manager, right? The manager of the hotel or the lodging facility. So also we have the franchise, all right, franchising. This involves having a kind of franchise agreement, all right, and the franchise agreement is going to provide owners or operators. Okay, these are the franchisees. The owners or the operators are the franchisees. Now they provide them with the use of recognized brand name. Okay, you'll be using the brand name of that particular hotel. If the brand name is, for example, maybe Hotel Hay, then this Hotel A can be given, the franchise can be given to another investor in another country, all right, to use the name. They can use the name. They will have access to the central reservation system, so that it will be the same across all the franchisees, okay, internationally. They also have access to training programs. Their staff will be trained on the standard operating procedures and so on. They also have documented operating procedures. They have access to documented operating procedures. So all these and many more are embedded in the franchise. But majorly, it's a kind of agreement, right? It's a kind of agreement between the franchisee and the independent owner of the brand. So it shares the brand, the access to the central reservation system, training program, and so many more standard operating procedures, other documents that can be related to the mode of operations. Then we also have the management contracts. This is it's similar to franchise. It's like franchise. It allowed the chains to expand aggressively, all right? But it allows for expansion without having the physical maybe facility, all right? You don't need to make capital investment into the physical facility. All you're allowed to do under the management contract is to allow the hotel company, the managers or agents will be working on behalf of the owner of the property. So the property or the hotel will be under the management of another person, which is the agent. All right, the agent will now be acting as the owner, will now be acting on behalf of the owner of the hotel or the facility. So that's what we call the management contract. Apart from that, we have the chain operators too. These are a group of properties that are affiliated with one another, and they have common ownership. They may have common management as well, and they may have maybe management control. All right, so chain properties, they also provide maybe marketing, management, as well as financial benefits. Apart from that, we also have the strength in numbers, which basically relate to referral associations. All right, many may want to wonder if the owners of these referral associations also get autonomy, or maybe they have benefits that are accrued to them. Of course, they do with, just like franchise companies and the like, they also have their own benefits. Membership in referral association allow property owners to go it alone, and they still share the benefit that come from the strength in numbers. So here is a figure showing the franchise agreements or requirements as well as the operating fees. Okay, day-ins worldwide. For example, the minimum room of 40, for a minimum room of 40, the annual franchise fee that will be paid by the franchisee is 5.5% of the revenue. All right, once you want to join a particular company as a franchise, you want to have a franchise of a particular company, then if your hotel has up to 40 rooms, then you will be paying 5.5% of your revenue as the annual franchise fee. So we also have the Hilton, which charges 5% of revenue. Holiday Inn Express, 5% of revenue. Preferred Hotels and Resorts is $300 per room per year, $25,000 minimum. So all these are just some companies and their annual franchise fee. It all begins with marketing. We all know that without marketing, no company can survive. So it is very, very important for companies to market their products or services. So the lodging service provider is also, they are not left out when it comes to marketing. Lodging properties also rely on a steady flow of new and repeat guests to remain financially healthy. If you want to remain financially healthy, you should be able to, one, retain your existing customers and as well attract new ones, all right, for you to be financially stable. Sales and marketing efforts range from branding, you have to brand your product, reservation system, to individual staff. So it doesn't end with the facility you're providing, it also has to do with the brand, all right, your branding, as well as the system, the kind of system you're using, the interoperability of your system, as well as your staff. How do your staff attend to the customers? The ultimate goal of marketing efforts is to attract future bookings, like I mentioned earlier. You have to make sure that you retain the existing customers and attract the new ones into your hotel or to come and patronize you. So the ultimate goal of marketing efforts is basically to attract future bookings of individual and group businesses. There are various methods that are used to generate reservation, and this include the toll-free internet reservation system. Like I mentioned, that at times some hotels do give free Wi-Fi services. Travel agents, tour operators, convention and visitors bureau, in-out sales staff, and so on. So all these are marketing strategies, all right? At times when you lodge with particular hotels, they give you maybe tour, they assign tour operators to you that, okay, if you want to go from here to so place, or you want to go shopping, we have tour operators, or we have maybe travel agents or assistants that can assist you with such. Sources of room reservation. Sources of room reservation are numerous. Okay, nowadays, of course, with the advent of and development of the information technology, there have been so many developments, all right, or ways or sources from which people can actually make room reservation. It could be through the proprietary website, that is the website of the lodging facility itself or the hotel. All right, so you go straight to the hotel and go and do your booking. It could be through intermediary websites. We have maybe mobile apps or websites that are meant for, they serve as intermediary between the customer and the hotels. For example, the Travelocity or the Expedia. So you can also make your reservations via this website or their application. We also have the auction style websites or mobile apps such as the Priceline, You can also make your reservations through direct call. You make direct telephone call to the individual property or hotel. You can also have the central reservation telephone number for the chain or other referral system. Apart from those, local visitors bureau reservation service telephone number or website can also be used, or the property or corporate sales staff. We also have travel agents. You can go through them to book your hotel or accommodation facility. Hotel room consolidations also are also available, such as the hotel reservation network. Then we have the convention and other meetings, and lastly, the pre-sold room blocks. Moving ahead, we want to discuss providing a home away from home. Like we all know that accommodation, the best experience you can have is just to feel at home even while you are away from home. So lodging properties use a variety of services or service employees to fulfill the guest need. They use a variety of service employees, all right from where the front desk, or from the gates itself, right from the gates before you even enter into the premises of the hotel. Before you go to the front desk, okay, after you leave the front desk, before you go to your room, and so on. So you're going to meet a variety of service staff, all right, and they tend to try to meet your need, all right, so that you can also feel at home even while you are away from home. Employees are an important part of the sales and marketing efforts in the lodging industry. This can actually not be overemphasized. Employees are very, very important, especially in the service industry, because you'll be dealing with personally with human beings or employees. So these are very, very important in the marketing effort as well as the sales effort as far as the lodging industry is concerned. Organizing for success. How do hotels organize for success? Because the main aim of any business, the first aim or goal of any business is to make profit. Because if you don't make profit, how do you intend to survive? Except it's a government funded whatever, or NGOs. So if you are into business, then you should also be into profit making, as that will be your source of sustenance. So how do hotels organize themselves for success in the industry? First is by basic operating functions. They have different functions. For example, the administration, where we have the general management. The general management will now take decisions that are best for the operation or the success of the organization. Then we have the guest contact services. For example, the front of the house, such as the front office, like I mentioned earlier, maybe the front desk, the reception. That's where you come across the receptionist and so on, or those that will walk you into your room or your lodging facility, and so on and so forth. So these are some of the basic operating functions. We also have the guest support services. The receptionists and so on are at the front of the house. They are at the front of the desk. You meet them first. But there are some who are behind the scene, who work behind the scene. For example, the engineers, all right? They ensure that all the, maybe for instance, the plumbing facilities are okay and in good working condition. The AC, the maybe the toilet, and so many things, the sink, and so on. So these people are also support services providers. The number of employees performing these functions differ, of course, definitely according to the size as well as the complexity of the property, that's the hotel. So moving ahead, we also have the general manager, who is the top manager with the ultimate responsibility and essential role in the success of the hotel. So that is where we have the apex, all right? The manager is at the apex of the organizational chart. He directs the affairs of the hotel. Larger properties have many middle managers in charge of functional areas, right? You take charge of functional areas, for example, marketing, advertising, accounting, human resources, and so on and so forth. So they usually have middle managers apart from the main or manager or the general manager. Larger and more complex properties often require personnel devoted to cost center functions. All right, for each center of functions like marketing, accounting, human resources, and so on, like I mentioned earlier, they often require personnel that are devoted to each of these centers so as to be able to work in the best interest of the hotel and manage the resources properly. So here is a typical a chart showing a typical lodging property organizational chart. Meeting the guest needs. Don't forget that we've mentioned that the basic essence of any service provider is to meet the guest need. So in specifically talking about the lodging industry now, or the accommodation services generally, how or what is the essence? How do they meet the needs of their customer? The front office is the heart of the lodging properties. We all know that, we are all aware of this general saying that the first impression lasts longer. So the first impression may be, maybe when you get to the front desk. At times it could be maybe right from the gate, the way the security approaches you and so on. But if not at that stage, definitely at the receptionist area or at the reception area. So this is where you meet those that will attend to you first. So this office is regarded to as the heart of the lodging properties, as this is where you want to get the information, everything you want to know about the hotel or the lodging facility. Housekeeping is a critical support function, working closely with front office to assure cleanliness and maintenance of property. Apart from the front desk now, the housekeeping aspect is also very, very crucial when it comes to meeting the customers' need. They provide maintenance, they ensure that everywhere is clean and hygienic. Achieving profitable operations. Like I mentioned earlier, the aim of any business is to make profit. So how do hotels achieve this? Occupancy rates and average daily rates are key to profitability, all right, the rate at which they are going to occupy that, as well as the average daily rates. How much do they charge? How much do hotels charge on a daily basis averagely? So these are key to profitability. Break-even occupancy must be exceeded to make a profit. Definitely, we know that when you are breaking even, then your total revenue is just equal to your cost. Your revenue is just the same as your cost, so you are not making anything as profit, so which is not very, very healthy for the survival of the lodging facility. So the break-even occupancy must be exceeded at all times to ensure or to make a profit. Profit margin tends to be thin due to capital and labor intensity. Of course, both hotels are both capital intensive as well as labor intensive. You need to invest in so many equipment and things, as well as invest in labor, those that are going to physically attend to the needs of the lodgers. Prosperity Point Hotel revenue and expenses for the month of March. And this is the second one on the Prosperity Point Hotel revenue and expenses, just for you to have an idea of their expenditure pattern, as well as what they spend on, like the kind of expenses that are incurred by hotels. All right. Now, achieving profitable operations, part 2. We've discussed about the part 1 where we talk about having revenue that are higher than break even to make profit, the operating facilities, and so on. So we also have revenue management, which is very, very important and now being used to maximize occupancy and room rates. So you need to manage the revenue. Is very, very important. So also we have the best available rates, which is often offered to working guests instead of the rack rates. So these are just for working guests, and they are kind of special rates. They are the best available rates that can be given. So you look at the best combination of the maybe the nights, the number of nights that the lodger is planning to spend in the hotel, and you try to give them like the best. Okay, if you are staying for 2 days, maybe today and tomorrow, then you'll be paying this so amount. But if you stay today, tomorrow, and maybe the next day, this is the amount to be paid. Maybe that amount to be kind of reduced or something like that. So just to give them the best available rates. Contract rates are the least profitable, but they provide guarantee occupancy to hotels. All right, there would have been a contract between the lodger and the lodging facility, or the management of the lodging facility. Overbooking and walking guests are problems that can arise from revenue management. It is very, very important to note that overbooking can affect revenue management. Of course, overbooking is when hotels allow people to book more than the available rooms, with the expectation or anticipation that some might still decide to cancel their booking and so on. So they allow this to happen just in case, to make up for those that will eventually cancel their bookings. All right, so when they allow for overbooking, or maybe when the working guests are on the rise or on the high side, then it can create a kind of problem in terms of revenue management. Thank you so much for your audience. We've come to the end of our discussion today. Hopefully we'll see you again next week, and we'll be talking about another topic. Before then, please do take care of yourself and stay safe. Bye. Thank you.